Morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I just wanted to get on here for a minute. I've been thinking a lot about, the young people in this world coming in and, growing up. I have, teenagers that are, getting into their 20s and working and doing this thing and, you know, coming out of high school and starting life, right? And it got me thinking about jobs and work and what, from a man's perspective, what men should do and what men are not taught and boys are not taught anymore. And that is, biblically speaking, right? Like, when you look at the Bible and you look at the way God dealt with Adam, it's pretty unique in the fact that you know Adam was put in an environment where he had to work. Even before the fall, work is not bad. Work is, you know, that's what we're here for. I mean, we're here to do something. And but Adam's placed in the garden, right? His dad builds this fantastic place for him. He puts his son there and he's like, "Hey son, everything is for you." Right? You can eat whatever you want. You can do all this really, really awesome stuff. Whatever you want. The keys of the kingdom are yours. There's a few restrictions. We obviously know there's a certain area, certain tree that you're not to eat from. But other than that, everything else is fair game. But he was to tend to the garden. That even includes that tree, probably, right? Like, he has to tend to these things. He has to keep up what his father built. He has to maintain and work and do these things. And he had a job, right? He had a career, a job. He was given instructions by his father on a career path, right? And then as he worked and as he did his job, the father noticed, "Oh, wait a minute, hey, this is a big job. Maybe he needs some help. He's lonely. Why don't we give him some help in your job?" So obviously we know what happens next. Puts him to sleep, takes a piece of rib, forms the woman, does the deal, gives her life, brings him to the man. The man names her, and somewhere in that realm, he gives her the instructions of the kingdom, right? And what the tasks are, the jobs, and she starts helping and this and that, and then we end up to the area where this Nahash, this thing, this serpent is talking, and she's responding back, and she says that we're not to eat or touch of it, but God never said not to Adam not to touch it, right? He said not to eat from it. So there was maybe a misinterpretation from him to his wife on the instructions of what had to be done in the garden, and that ultimately leads to however this decision's made, where she partakes in something, he partakes in something, and then we all know at the end it's like, "Oh, hey, it was this thing you gave me," and all this, when everything was in order and had an order, and then you made decisions that set it out of order, right? And then you ultimately get mad and upset and blame someone else, which we still do to this day. But the part that I think these young people need to know, and even older guys that are not married or whatever, think this pertains to them too. Before Adam had a wife, he had a job and a career path. He had something that he was working towards, that he was able to, that was providing him, a quote unquote living, right? Like, he was getting food and nourishment from the work that he was doing, and all this thing was great, right? It's only after the fall do you have to plant and dig the ground and do all the manual stuff, that the hard stuff that doesn't pay off until later on in the future, right? There, it was already there. You just had to tend to it and receive. But you had to put something forth too. So my thinking on this is that, you know, young people, especially in the churches, in the synagogues, in these establishments, they need to be taught, especially the young men, it's like, stop chasing skirts. Stop chasing them. Number one, you have nothing to offer. Because biblically speaking, I'm a dad of a daughter. You're going to come to me and, you know, want to marry my daughter or date my daughter or whatever that looks like. Well, you know, the first thing I'm going to be is like, how are you going to take care of her? You know, most people are like, well, does he believe in God? I'm going to be honest with you. That's not my first question. My first question is, how are you going to take care of her? And then if you have a plan to do that, that'll tell me whether or not you have some belief in a creator, right? Based on how you are looking at your life and looking at, you know, how to provide for a family. That lets me know if you have, that you serve the creator or not. Second of all, with the idea that you have nothing to offer, is you're no one. You don't even know yourself. You don't know you. You know, God knows you, right? But you don't know you. And you don't know what you're capable of. You don't know, you know, you don't know what inspires you yet. You don't know anything. You have really hardly any life experience, especially as an adult. And you need to be on your own for a little bit before you partner up with someone, because you need to know how to not be a slob. You need to know how to take care of your bills. You need to know how to make critical decisions within a household. You need to know how to fix things. You need to know how to get things fixed, whatever that is. You need to learn how to be a provider. You need to learn how to be a leader. So that way, you know, when your kids come along, you can have these conversations, you can do these things. And, you know, a lot of dads are not in the household right now. A lot. And it's being left up to moms who are trying to raise boys. And it's like, that's not a good deal. That's not, you know, I love my mama, but if it wasn't for my dad, I'd be a lot softer and know a lot less and had a lot harder time in life and trying to learn to be a man. Because if he wasn't there, I wouldn't have had that example. So we're doing it, you know, men are doing these boys an injustice by not being in their life and not being something, right? I'm not saying you got to go out here and knock back $100,000 or $150,000 a year and have this big empire thing. I'm just saying, like, a man that gets up every day and goes and works to provide, and he does his job well, and he is loyal, and he does these things for his family. That's what these boys need to know. That's what they got to learn how to be, not this other. Not running around chasing women and, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, maybe we'll work, maybe we won't. And then you need money, and then you're robbing, stealing, and killing. And it's like, no, that's not how God designed it. That's not how he designed it. He designed it for you to become something. He's a creator. You're a creator. You're in his image. We are defiling his image all the time by not doing the things he wants us to do. Again, you might work in an office arena. You might be a doctor, or you might be a lawyer, or you might be some kind of accountant, or whatever it is. You have some sort of profession or some sort of work ethic that you're doing and that your kids can see and your wife can see and go, you know what? Like, okay, maybe he's not bringing home a giant bag, but the man gets up every day. He goes and takes care of what he got to take care of. He comes home and he takes care of us, and he does the best he can. Yeah, we're not living in a 3,000 square foot mansion, but our means are met and we're taken care of, and he's faithful to us, and he's faithful to God, and he's faithful to his friends, and he does the best he can. Everybody wants to be a YouTube sensation or this or the, it's just like, no, not that you can't, but be something before you do any of that, right? Don't let that be your whole thing. Don't let entertaining people be the first thing you go after. Go after the creator of the heavens and the earth. Go after him. Learn to become something that he's designed you to be. Everybody has different skills. A proverb says, whatever you find your hand to do, you do it unto the creator, unto Yah, right? I think Paul hits that in Colossians somewhere too, like re-ups that, like whatever you find to do it well. And you do it in the characteristics that our creator's in, right? Righteousness, justice, loyalness, equal weights and measures, all these things, honesty. That's the way you are to do it, with your whole heart, mind, and soul, right? You do that and you move up in the world, or do whatever you got to do. But these young guys, you have to figure this out. Don't be starting families before you know who you are, before you have some life experience. Don't do it. Listen, even when men would court the women, right, they would have to go back home and go work with their dad, go build a place or add on to his house or whatever it is. And then the old man told them when they were ready, right? Because he's going to watch you and watch you get life experience and watch you do these things. And that's the discipleship part, right? Discipleship isn't always just about learning the Bible or learning something new. What did Yeshua say? What did God say here? Yes, that's part of it. But that's not true discipleship. True discipleship is walking with you every day and every night and knowing, knowing it's like helping you in your work, helping you in your life decisions, things like that. Like that's where the church fails at. That's where Christianity has failed at miserably, is real discipleship. They think a small group is discipleship. It's not discipleship. Coming to church on Saturday or Sunday is not discipleship. The other 6 days of the week, that's discipleship, right? That's it. Being together, learning one another's traits, knowing you, things like that. That's discipleship, right? And us being together and being a part of each other's life, of course we're going to talk about the Bible. Of course we're going to bring up situations where we have to deal with, and it's like, well, how did God deal with this situation? Or how did Abraham, or how did Yeshua, or how did whoever? That's a natural course that will happen in discipleship if we're bearing in one another's burdens. So I know this is kind of a rant. It just, watching these young guys just totally blow it, and watching some of the older guys blow it. You know what I mean? Some of the guys that's maybe had relationships, got divorced, whatever. And then, the first thing they want to do is get back on the dating market instead of figuring out who you are. Figure it out. It's a journey too. But as you move forward in that journey, you're going to figure things out. And you're going to understand life decisions that maybe you made that weren't the greatest. Some of them were probably awesome. So it's like you can reevaluate. So if you did have a bad relationship or something didn't end well, let's figure out what that was. Might not just always be you, which 90% of the time it's not. It's a group matter, right? But yeah, I just want to encourage especially the young guys and you older guys. Us older guys, who have kids and not necessarily have kids, but have young guys in our churches or in our synagogues, in our places of worship and around us, especially who don't have dads or their dad is crap. Be something to somebody. Be something to somebody. Yeshua is something to us. And he picked some real knuckleheads, right? I mean, one of them even got him locked up. So, choose wisely on your friends too. But no, it is what it is, right? But yeah, let's be different. Guys, you gotta step up. We gotta step up. We're losing these young people, losing them to the streets, to just bull crap, to fortune and fame promises, easy money, quick money, illegitimate money. Got to do something. We got to do something different. So I encourage you guys, I encourage all of you, women, men, children, whatever. I encourage you to figure out what to do in life, right? Like find your little, people say calling or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that because it's pretty clear in Ecclesiastics. It's like, what's the will of God? The will of God is to, keep his commandments and fear him. It's pretty simple. Do what he asks you to do and fear him and walk in that wisdom, which is figure out what you're made to do and get in that. Find something to do. Move up in the world. Be a blessing. It's hard to be a blessing and bless people when you're dead broke all the time. You have to be a blessing. And in order to do that, it means you're going to have to get out of the house and go do the work. So I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. This is actually a Friday, so whenever you watch this, I recorded this on a Friday. So I hope everybody has a great weekend and an awesome Shabbat. Shalom.